Excuse me, can you guys keep it down, please? We're in an interview. Thank you. Next time you're going to illegally park and interview the interviewer or interrupt the interview.
Sorry. If you're going to talk, you got to talk on the interview.
This week we discuss 20 years of FOBAB with Pete Crowley, Stout, and Janna Mestan. This is episode 95 of The Malting Hour.
What's the hats on the hops, guy, yeast, and speeds? This the Malting Hour where we talk about our drink and tell you what we think every other week. And if we get drunk, well, we might slur our speech. Got the gift of gab, the friends you wish you had. Join us for a drink, join us for a laugh. Time is never wasted, where you getting wasted. The Malting Hour here, people take your places. People take your places. People take your home.
Welcome to the Malting Hour. I am one of your hosts, Tony Golick, joined always with
Brandon Winninger.
And we are in Haymarket. And are you ready? You were disappointed before what I said before. This is my first time in Haymarket.
I'm fine if you visit other breweries. That's okay.
We won't say what that was.
It's okay. I go to other breweries. I was at Cruz Blanco just 15 minutes ago.
Oh, I mean, they're right over here. Yeah. I love that place.
I haven't been there forever. And it's not even that old.
Yeah, good food, too. Well, the voice you just heard, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello.
That's good
Pete
radio.
Crowley. I am one of the founding members of the old Haymarket Brewery and the head brewer here. So.
Thanks for having us here. And we're also joined with?
Hi, I'm Stout. I'm the executive director of the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild.
Awesome. This is like a 1-2 punch of an episode for us. So thank you guys for... Actually, thank you, Ray, for putting this together. And who would have thought my card actually got me an interview? First time. Thanks, Brandon. Thank you, Brandon, for making those cards. Hey, thanks, everybody. All I'm doing is making sure the audio sounds good.
You just want to make sure that you get someone to email you back when they're buzzed, and then they're on the hook. They're like, "Oh, I did what? Oh, shit! Oh.
Give me your card. And why don't you email me right now?
Who are these guys? The malting what?
I actually did that. I forget his name. The owner of Burning Bush Brewing.
Brent.
Yes, I sent. He gave me his email right there, and then I sent it to him, and I said, "Tony from Friday Night Flights." And that was it. And he replied on Monday that we're gonna try and do something with them as well.
Brent's a great guy. And talk about a weird story is that he is a pastor by trade. He decided to open up a brewery. Now they're doing this great expansion over there, and it's going to be a really cool place.
Is his brewery tax-free?
No.
And I'm really having a hard time not sending my kid to the daycare that happens to be right next door to the brewery. So
that was a brewery that I got a chance to go to during the pandemic, when there was that brief time in the late summer, early fall, where we thought maybe it was gonna be done before
we're gonna be okay.
Yeah, everything was gonna be okay. One of the other hosts, Clark, he and I went there and we sat outside. And it's a nice spot, right there by the river. It's great.
Absolutely. They built out a patio, and they're building out an event space, so it's going to be great when they're done with it.
It's exciting. But that's not why we're here. We're not here to talk about...
Well,
we can.
We can
like
talk
you
about
said,
breweries.
We can
and
talk
beer
about other
all-
breweries.
There's 300 to choose from in Illinois, so there's plenty to talk about.
Well, one of the things we are here to talk about is the 20th anniversary of FOBAB, and that's why we're here. Before we get into that, I would, for people who don't know, Pete, can you give us a little bit information about Haymarket, the history?
Sure.
You can give us an abridged version.
Yeah,
you can give us a very long version.
That's fine. So I had been brewing in Chicago since '99, and I was at the Rock Bottom downtown. I was there for actually 10 years. And at the time, I was looking to open up my own place. I met my business partner, John. We found this location in the West Loop. And at the time, the West Loop was not so great. So we got a really good lease. And then I went to really good. I went to the Chicago Historical Society and looked up the area and learned a whole lot about the Haymarket Square, the Haymarket Square riots. And the monument for the actual event and the affair is right across the street over the highway. We're in the southwest corner, so we decided we wanted to name it after really a worldwide, worldly known event that occurred in Chicago. And so that's why we came up with Haymarket. We used a lot of the names, like I'm drinking Oscar's Pardon right now. That's Oscar Neebe, was one of the Haymarket 8 that was there during that day, the 3rd of May. 1886. But so we decided this neighborhood was perfect for us. It's near trains, near bus. So we got open, got rocking and rolling. And then I finally met, when I met John, we came up with the idea that we not only love making craft beer, but we also are very good at making sausages, smoking meats, that kind of thing. So we built the concept as basically handmade sausages, our own pulled pork. We utilize all that on our pizzas, also in sandwiches, and then our craft beer.
I'm hungry now. I'm thinking about all that.
Yeah, you can get all of our encased and homemade meats on either a sandwich form or a pizza, and then, of course, all of our beers. So.
Nothing like a good sausage pilsner. Yeah, I didn't know all of that. So, like I said, I'm very ignorant to being here. This is my first time here. So
well, we're 12 years old. So I've been brewing in Chicago for 22 years. I've been brewing for almost 30 overall professionally. I fell into the brewing scene by accident out of college. I walked into a brew pub in Aspen, Colorado to get drunk. And
as most people do.
Came out with a job.
Be there for, I was only be there for a week or two. The Flying Dog Brew Pub in Aspen, it's not there anymore, but at the time, I never had a craft beer. My biggest craft beer at the time was Keystone Light because the can was specially lined.
What a craft!
Yeah, so I paid the extra, so up $4.99 a case is what I was paying. So when I get out there and I tried this dry hopped doggy style pale, I fell in love with it, and so I ended up was only going to stay for 2 weeks in Aspen. I stayed for 3 years.
Wow!
And that's where my brewing career took off. And so since '94, I've been brewing beer. And that's the only job I've had out of college is making alcohol.
Man, that's living the dream.
Yeah. Oops. Sorry, Mom.
I will say that in terms of the trajectory of craft beer in the state of Illinois, especially in the city of Chicago, Haymarket was one of the founding fathers of that. Obviously Rock Bottom goes around, but to see where it has become, where there's 160 breweries right around the Chicagoland area, from somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 20 to 30 in the state when the time Haymarket opened is astounding.
Yeah, I think when when I first started as president of the guild started about 3 or 4 years before I got on the board and I became president. And I would say the meetings were maybe 20 people, and they were usually just at a table at like the map room. And now we can't find locations that are big enough to host the meetings.
That's awesome.
And the membership is there to actually be involved and to learn and to be a part of the community, where when we first started it, and this is no slight on anyone, but it was kind of like a social club. Mm-hmm. We had the meetings so we could eat and drink.
Sure.
Like, what's on the agenda? I don't know. When's the pizza getting here?
That's how our brew club started.
Now we're talking about thiols and yeast, metabolism and biotransformation, and I'm like, when's the pizza getting here?
Yeah, I remember it was years ago, like 2012. I was working at Fishman's up on the north side.
Yeah.
I started off doing all their marketing when they went into wanting to be craft beer, and I'm the one that got them signed up as members of the guild. And then every time there was a meeting invite, they would just forward it to me. They're like, just go there and sit there, just wear a Fishman shirt. I'm like, you're telling me to go somewhere and just drink and eat? Yeah. That's all they do, right? It's like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we would pick our meetings as a board on what place we haven't tried yet. Man, I've always wanted to go to this place. I hear they got great oysters. Let's go there. Champagne and oysters for the board meeting. Okay.
It's come a long way.
Yeah, it sure is. Now I sat there, the last board meeting, I sat there for 2.5 hours waiting for a freaking beer. I was like, come on. They're like, it's 10:30 in the morning. I'm like, yes, it's 10:30 in the morning. I have been awake for 3 hours.
Way behind.
I've been awake for 3 whole hours, Ray. It's like, well, we still have to do this presentation with that. Oh, God.
You can have a beer and do a presentation.
What happened to the guild? It's so organized.
You guys changed. It used to be so punk. It's fucking sold out.
So well run. It's so organized. We learn shit. Like, oh my God.
Sorry.
Oh, jeez.
Ever since that Ray guy came around,
ruined everything.
I was like, we're doing stuff.
Well, speaking of ruining things, Ray, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I was pretty new to the beer community when taking this job. So for the past decade, my background is running labor unions, And so
I would like to point out, I'm interrupting you on purpose, that the guy whose last name is Stout is new to the beer.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was born for this.
Jeez,
I was like that. Like he changed his name specifically, right?
Yes, when I reach out to legislators, I assure them that I'm not a nom de plume, that I'm an actual person. And so for the past decade, I've helped run labor unions on the East Coast, and most recently SEIU Local 73 in Chicago. And so what I've really learned about that is member organizing, right? And so the Guild is just a membership organization. And so there's a lot of great fights ahead of us. There's a lot of legislation that we need to pass in order to keep the beer community thriving here in Illinois. Because what people don't realize is that every ounce of beer that is sold in a brew pub is tied to politics in one way or another. And so, that's what I was really excited about to bring to this new role. In addition to all the training that Pete talked about, and the thiols and the vinyl transformation and everything like that. So my background is in organizing members and running nonprofit organizations. So I was excited to kind of step into a scene where I was pleasantly surprised on how there's such great camaraderie in the brewing community. When you think of typical businesses, you think of people, it's a cutthroat thing. I don't want this person to succeed because I want my business to succeed. But one of the best things about the Guild is that there's this listserv, right? And so within 5 minutes of somebody posting that I need XYZ hop, they're posting, stop texting me, I have what I need. And so it's a really great community that we have here in Illinois. So it's been my pleasure to serve in this role for about a year, and for as many more years as it takes to pass all the laws that we need to pass.
We've talked about it numerous times. We'll cover. Obviously, we cover a lot of Chicago and Midwest beers, being here in Chicago. But one of the things we've always talked about is the community, as far as Chicago and even just greater Illinois or greater Chicago area, like how close, like exactly what you said. It's not. It never seems like one brewery is like, breweries are helping each other open up. When we were at Double Clutch recently and did their interview with them, they were talking about how Trevor from Old Irving helped them get started, and the guys at Temperance were also like there to help them out as well. I think Smiley Brothers. But it's awesome to hear that that's exactly what you guys were. Yeah,
and the fact that it still continues to this day is a really big statement for this industry, because that's what it was started on, that's what it was based on. But the fact that here we are 20 years later and everyone's still helping each other out, instead of taking the opportunity to like steal shelf space or like, I want to take their business, I'll take their Christmas parties because they're not open yet, or instead it's like, how can I help you get open so you can have your Christmas parties, and an example was way back in the day was, I remember when Metropolitan Brewing was opening, Doug and Tracy Hurst were trying to get this batch of beer out to their distributor. It was like one of their first ones, and they needed to get the check so they could get the check in to buy more stuff. And their filter took a shit. And I remember Doug texted me, and he's like, can I borrow your DE filter? I was like, sure. He showed up with a U-Haul, and we loaded it up, we went up, we filtered his beer, put it in bottles, and I took my filter back down to my brewery, and then he sold it to distributor. And it hasn't changed in 20 years.
Yeah, no.
So that's a testament to the integrity of the craft, that you're more concerned about the quality of the beverage and the players in it and helping them succeed than you are being the top dog. So I think that's cool.
I feel like even with this year, Twisted Hippo is the perfect example. I like how everybody, I haven't seen so much like outpouring support for a local business that was devastated by a fire or any like bad thing, that everybody got together and just made sure that they were taken care of. That, to know that people have their backs.
They did come hard for Skeleton Key too.
That's absolutely right. And so when Skeleton Key was devastated by a tornado, or when Twisted Hippo was devastated by a fire, the outpouring from started by the brewing community. GoFundMe was started by a staff member at Microphone Brewing at the time up in Elk Grove Village, and raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm happy to report that Carl and Marley from Twisted Hippo are back on their feet. They're pouring beer again. Carl is actually on our board now, and it's good to have them back in the community because they bring such a great voice and such a great kind of Gestalt life force to the brewing industry. So we're so happy.
I reached out when it first happened, and I was like, hey, if you ever need to brew batches of beer here, we have a distributor, we can brew it, I can keg it, so you can still have beer in the market. And he goes, you're like the 12th person today that has reached out and said that to me. I was like, whoa, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. And again, it just goes back to the whole community of craft beer.
And it's not a fairy tale. We're not just trying to like glaze over and make it sound like it's just an amazing, cool vibe industry. It's real. It happens every day. It's unbelievable. You don't see Coke and Pepsi or Chevy and Ford having that kind of...
I was literally just going to say, you don't see that in other industries where like everything is just like head to head. But here it's... And I can't say that it's like that in every city. I'm sure that there's some cities where people are more hardcore and cutthroat, when they're dealing with craft beer. But, I mean, the vibe in Chicago is just... It's so community. Like, no matter where you go, everyone's cool. And that's been my experience.
And I would say not even Chicago. I would say the whole state. I mean, I don't want to make it to be a craft beer Chicago thing, even though we are talking about FOBAB, which is in Chicago, and I'm a Chicago brewery. But it is a statewide thing, and it's cool. People will drive a long way to help each other out and be a part of different events. And
that's
a great community.
I think that's exactly right. Is that when you brought up what's happening up there in Evanston with that development of those breweries, and you look around the state and there's all these little pockets of breweries popping up, and they're popping up 2, 3, 4 at a time.
Yeah.
And what they're becoming is little beer destinations. And so we're urging people to go check out these smaller cities, go check out these kind of collar counties, because there's so much great beer out there that we're brewing in the state of Illinois.
We learned that just going up again. One of the few times during the pandemic, we're like, there's a chance that the pandemic isn't really happening anymore. We went out to Woodstock to go to Holzlager out there, and that was so much fun. And then Brandon introduced me to the pizza place right next door.
Anniversary Pizza.
Yeah, very good.
When's the pizza coming?
Before we move on, we do have a third person sitting at the table, and I want, because you are here, and I've met you before.
Used to be part of.
But you have your own thing. I mean, please introduce yourself.
Selling partner here. So I am Janna Mestan, former board member for the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild, former everything at Haymarket Brewing for several years, but currently run my own events company on the side. But
your card is in my wallet still.
Yes, it is, because we poured together at Friday Night Fights.
We're getting a 2 for 1 here.
Just wanted to point out that all of this, if there has been any guiding principle for the guild from when I was involved with it very, very early under Pete's guidance, was that the rising tide lifts all the ships. And that's been the thing the whole time, is that Coke and Pepsi wouldn't do this, but we do, because we're all trying to do the same thing. And that's been a huge thing for the guild for years, and the fact that it's actually still successful is amazing.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that sets us apart from other states by far reaches, that because all the breweries in this state say hey, we're all in this together and we need to band together to do this and make it work, we're way ahead of other states that are dealing with petty infighting.
I would say internal fighting. Yeah, that's no good. Yeah, and it's again, to reiterate, I feel like we're really lucky to be in Illinois and in Chicago, with the beers that we have. Not only just the beers, but the community that surrounds us. That's built it up. So thank you guys for making that a thing.
Okay, so that podcast is over. Let's talk about FOBAB.
Yeah. Finally, patting you guys on the back. I'm sorry, I drank my beer really fast, and now I feel like that I slammed the water and I drank the beer, and now I'm on a roll. Let's do it. We're hitting FOBAB.
See, now you're
Now I'm back to being Tony.
Now dehydration means shit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's back in the fold.
My wife can't wait till I get home now. I'm like, I got another beer.
I love the fact that we are now going to talk about Tony in the third person.
Yeah, that's right. Hi, I'm Tony.
Tony wants to ask you a question.
Tony wants
Is
to
it
know.
allowed?
Yeah.
But yeah, so bringing it back, kind of not bringing it back, but the second part, the main topic I would say is we're coming up.
This
on
is the main
20th year of FOBAB, and I always love it when somebody makes a side comment. And Ray, you mentioned that Pete had an interesting story, about the kind of inception of FOBAB. So I'd be curious to hear.
I'm not even sure which one you want me to tell.
Are there multiple versions?
Tell the podcast-worthy one.
Just
the
tell all of
one?
them, and then we will pick which one.
All right.
Yeah, we'll edit it.
So do you want
Put air
me to
quotes
tell
on
you
it.
the part where at
5
the
hours
end
a
the
day.
organizers went down and drank 5 ounces of every single beer we had at FOBAB number 1 and then we all threw up and held each other's hair? Or do you want me to tell you the story about how FOBAB started?
Let's go with the story about that FOBAB started.
Oh, okay.
First.
Good. Okay, excellent.
Maybe we'll circle back around to the whole thing here,
He's
but
like-
we
he's
definitely
like,
want to hear how it
Can
started.
we edit that? We had been going back and forth a bit in this area with barrel-aged beers and contests. Okay, so whether it was the beer society or like homebrew events or popular vote events, or if we went to World Beer Cup or Great American Beer Festival or things like that, it was always kind of this competition amongst Flossmoor Station, which was Todd Ashman at the time, Goose Island, so Greg Hall was early on with the Bourbon County. I started barrel aging when I was living out in Colorado, but especially here in Chicago, the first 2 years that barrel aged beer was a actual category at JBF, I won the gold both years.
Hey.
First 2 years. Yeah, but the thing is, I beat the people that were best at the game, and so they were like, "Who's this rock bottom guy?" Right? So it became this thing, and we all became like this. I don't know. It's almost like this club of. And then Matt Van Wyck came in, took over for Todd Ashman. But back when Todd Ashman was there, it was this kind of group of people with just, and we were doing like 1 bourbon barrel, 4 bourbon barrels. It wasn't like this whole room full, you know what I mean? So it was like super, super rare stuff. And I remember going back and forth, and we were talking with Greg, and Greg was not on the board or anything with the guild, but he was part of always being involved in the Chicago beer scene, obviously, Greg Hall. And he's like, why don't you guys, he didn't want to lift a finger for it. He was going to give us as much beer as we wanted.
I got this
right?
idea.
But he was like, why don't you guys, as in not me, have a festival? And we're like, I don't know anything about running a freaking festival. And this is at the time, who knew? And we're like, all right. So I was at Rock Bottom at the time, and we're like, well, let's do it in the banquet space at Rock Bottom on a Tuesday, because I don't want anyone to show up. Because A, I don't know how much beer I'm going to have, and B, I don't know how many people are going to show up.
Yeah.
So we didn't know if we needed security. We didn't know how to do ticket sales. We didn't know we didn't know anything.
Come on in.
So
$5 at the door.
you like beer? Yeah. So obviously Flossmoor was in, Goose was in, we were in, and Jeff Sparrow at the time was helping run the Chicago Beer Society, which is one of the reasons why that particular homebrew club was one of the reasons why Chicago became such a great brewing city so early, because their passion for going to places and having beers that were from all over the world, and also nothing that was like mass produced, and so places like the Matt Brewing and Sheffield's and those places, and the Goose Brew Pub were super successful because that's the only places they all went, and they had a pretty good fan base. And so he's like, well, I'll help. All right. And he ended up being on the board of the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild. So we're like, okay, let's do this. So we decided we'd reach out and see what we could get. Right. So I knew I had some barrel-aged beer. We had some, Goose, like I said, Flossmoor. And Jeff called his connection at Sam Adams. And the guy's like, yeah, I'll send you something. I'll send you like a jug of something. Like it was just this barrel-aged stuff, right? We got a 5-gallon plastic container of Utopia.
Oh, shit.
With a giant screw cap. that we had to like pour into a firkin.
Holy cow.
So we could serve it because it was a 5-gallon jug of Utopias. I mean, imagine that today.
That's insane. That is insane.
And then he reached out to his buddy Peter Boucard out in New Belgium, and all of a sudden, like 5 cases of La Folie showed up. And at the time, you could only get 1 bottle of La Folie a day per visit at the brewery. Wow. 1 bottle, and they sent us like 5 full cases.
Holy
Here's
shit!
La Folie. We're like, huh.
Something's happening.
And it all of a sudden showed up, and we're like, this is pretty cool. I feel like this is like a super rare event. And about 125 people or whatever showed up, and I think we had 15 or 20 beers. I can't remember. Do you have the list of the first year?
No, I don't.
No, that one doesn't. I don't think
I think you had about 12 beers.
Yeah, it was.
I feel like I want to interject at this point and point out that this original FOBAB was on April 1st.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was actually, and so a lot of people didn't come because they thought it was a joke.
I can see that. Sure.
So it happened to be Tuesday, April 1st, 20 years ago. So people showed up. They were blown away. We did a judging. It was blind judging, so I couldn't judge. Todd Ashby couldn't judge. And I remember that Todd and I won all 3. And so we literally in year 1. This doesn't matter because it wasn't a national competition yet. So in year 1, we literally, Todd and I changed the medal winners because we didn't want to look like we won our own festival.
Yeah.
So we're like, we can't win all the awards. This isn't good. So I think I ended up winning 3rd, and he took 2nd, and we gave someone else 1st, just so it wasn't like, whatever. But we just got absolutely shit hammered, and the next, after it was over, I was like, oh my god, and this buzz just started going around the homebrew community, like, holy crap, the beers they had and everything else. And then Greg's like, well, let's keep rolling here. If you guys run it, I'll give you the space. So he gave us space at the Goose Island Wrigleyville, the back part. And what a shithole that was. So we had to move all this crap out of the way every year for a couple of years, and it smelled like sewer, and it was like dirty, but it kept getting bigger and bigger.
Sure.
And of course we appreciated, all the help, but it was just like, this is not. These beers need we need to elevate this, and so I want to say it went from there to the Plumbers Union Hall. I don't think there's anything in between. And the Plumbers Union Hall right down the street here was before I even thought about this place for a place. It was right when all that was happening. I'm 12 years old now, so this is getting around year 6 or so of FOBAB 20 years ago. So. That ended up being an awesome space. Judging was so much easier and better. We got way more people, we got way more brands, and all of a sudden people started sending us beer from all over the country. Yeah. And we're like, whoa, like people coming out of the woodwork that wanted to send us beer, like Lost Abbey, and breweries that you're Omegang. You're like,
you guys know about? Yeah,
you purposely want to send me beer? Like, I'm not going, please, Tommy, send me this beer. He's like, how much red poppy do you need? How many cases? I'm like, all of the cases? Like,
how many are you willing to send?
Oh my god. So, and Duck Duck Goes and all these beers, they're like, the history of these beers, they were just magical beers that we were getting. And so it became the hottest ticket, and then it became like known. Like, people were starting to travel. Like, people are actually flying in or driving into Chicago just for this festival.
That's awesome.
Like, it went from kind of a joke on April Fool's Day, that just to see what would happen and then it became our biggest fundraiser. And so not only did this festival become what the Illinois Guild could be known for as a festival and as a beer town, it allowed the Guild to generate enough revenue to hire salaried people to help run the Guild to make the Guild more successful. So it was kind of this snowball effect of this cool thing became this bigger thing that became a moneymaker, that became we hired people that helped us run it better, and then I didn't have to be there from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. on the day of the festival, walking around literally cash only with like $30,000 in my pants pockets. drunk at 2 a.m. trying to get a cab. Like, really, I can afford it. Trust me.
Just drive.
Here, drive. So then we went to South Side. We went to Bridgeport, which I really liked, the Bridgeport Arts Center. The Bridgeport Arts Center was beautiful. It used to be the Spiegel catalog printing factory. If you remember, I don't know how old you guys are, but for us, every year we couldn't wait for the Spiegel catalog because the Spiegel catalog was the internet in a catalog. Because there wasn't internet yet. So it had everything in this catalog from tile flooring to a winter hat. And you could go through this whole thing. Now, I was flipping right away as a kid to the lingerie section. Anyway.
Sounds like my Sears catalog.
Sorry, Mom. But this place is beautiful, all hardwood. So we had great view of the city. So we did the Bridgeport Arts Center, and then...
That was the first FOBAB I ever went to.
And the elevator sucked. Like,
yes, I got stuck in it.
It was a thing.
But it was okay.
Yeah.
I was drunk. It didn't matter.
At least you had a story. I was at FOBAB. I got stuck in the elevator.
In a pretty cool elevator at that.
So then we went to once it got way more organized with executive director at the time, Justin, and some other folk going into the UIC kind of family. So which one's the Forum and the Pavilion? Pavilion Forum. I forget which is which. So
The first time I went was in the Pavilion.
That's the old space.
Yeah, the Pavilion was the old space, and now the Forum, and so it just became a way more organized festival, better for the attendees, that kind of thing. I did like the Bridgeport Arts Center for the attendees, but except for the elevators. But yeah, it just exploded year after year after year, and we ended up getting to a point where we actually had to like turn breweries away because we didn't have enough space, which is, I think, a testament to the quality of the festivals when people want to send you beer and they can't.
It's a good problem to have.
So, and that's pretty cool. I don't know if that answered I don't even remember what the question was.
Tell the story about the beginning of
Yeah. You brought us all the way up to modern times.
I asked you about what beer you were drinking.
So what Pete's not saying in that is that from Plumbers Union Hall at like 90-ish entries to Bridgeport Arts Center the next year, we went from 90 entries to like 300 entries.
Wow, man.
And that has only increased since then. So from Bridgeport Arts Center to UIC to different format at UIC, like it's only increased from there. So like it has been an exponential increase that has been amazing and wonderful and like testament to everything that these guys set up. That like not only was it 15 breweries that wanted to send beer the first year to however many the second year, but then like culminating at like 90 breweries at the Plumbers Union Hall to now 300 and more breweries want to send beer.
Yeah, how many breweries are this year?
So right now we have just about 200 breweries sending beer. Over 350 beers are being entered into the festival.
It's insane.
We're planning on selling somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 tickets.
Wow.
So to go from where it came from to where it is now is astounding. And, we purposely cap the ticket sales because we want to make sure that it's a festival that people can enjoy. The worst thing I've experienced at a beer festival is just waiting in line for beer.
Yep.
And that's not what we want to have here.
Yeah.
So we have the whole concourse lined with beers. We have the arena floor lined with beers. Goose Island has an awesome outdoor area where they're bringing their train car.
Oh, nice.
So they're serving their props and some of their interesting newer types of beers there.
Get a ride on that train.
Yeah.
Well, and just to speak to that again, like it was always important to me when I was running the festival with my team at the time that it was boutique and it was not too big and it wasn't too many people and you weren't just crammed in and it really makes me super like proud and happy to be part of the guild still to this day, and that they've kept that it's not oversold, it's not overpacked. Like there was that one year I think it got a little too crunchy down at the is it the Pavilion down here? Yeah. But still you could get any beer you wanted, and that's really a big part of why the festival is so popular is because you have access to all these beers, we could make this a 1,000 beer event or 2,000 beer event with 25,000 people, no problem.
Yeah.
But is that any fun?
Right.
I mean, it's not the event that I wanted in the beginning, that me and my guys that I started with in the beginning, and it's not the event that Guild wants. The Guild wants a special event where your $75, $85 ticket actually has value because you're getting these beers that you can't get anywhere else. They're all still small batch beers for the most part. I mean, the beers I'm entering this year, I've got 2 bourbon barrels of one beer and 1 bourbon barrel of the other. So you want something about rare, like Bourbon County rare? Sorry, Greg. Yeah, I got 1.7 barrels of it. Yeah, take that rare. So, by the way, Greg and I are still very good friends.
Deep cut.
No, it's fine. No, that's great. And no, I sidebar. I got a text and like, hey, there's this kind of big, really hairy dude at the bar that says he knows you, and he has brought some cider. And I'm in Chicago. I'm like, tell Greg I said hi. You know, it's like, but
sorry I'm not there.
Yeah, sorry I'm not there, Greg. If I was, we'd probably be up way too late. But yeah, so it's just the fact that it's still that important to the Guild and all the organizers, Ray and Katie and everyone, that it's a special event. It's not just a moneymaker. Yes, it's a fundraiser. Yes, it's how we grow the Guild and make us a better beer state, beer community. We accomplish a lot of our political goals and our legislative goals. Sure, but they've kept it special, and that speaks volumes, because you could have easily made this thing into a giant just print money festival, and it's not that.
And, you know, we still have people entering beers from almost half the states in the country. Right? We have about 23 different states entering beers, and that's in addition to, you know, so many beers from the Midwest. But, you know, as far as California and Florida, that people are coming out to enter their beer in FOBAB, because it's a thing, and winning a medal in FOBAB brings a lot of recognition to your product.
Judges are solid, man. We have good judges. It's not like a bunch of beer-loving folks hanging around like, hey, come here, taste this. Which one you like better, Ralph? You know, it's really well. The judging's run super well. It's very strict. The guidelines are amazing. I'm really proud of what I and my buddies started long ago, but I can't even say enough to what everyone else has done with it since then and run with it. And you know, one of my proudest moments was when I was still announcing the awards. However many years this was, 8 years ago was my last year. This brewery won a medal, and you would have thought they'd won the Mega Millions and the Super Bowl and the World Series all at the same time. And they were so freaking excited.
That's awesome.
And I was like, they're excited because they sent their beer here. They won a medal at our festival.
Yeah.
And they're that excited. They were jumping around. They came up to pictures. Like, it was so good. Hugs, high fives. I was like, that means more to me than anything, any dollar that we could make, anything we could do for the Guild, that brewery took it that seriously and was that excited. I'm like, that means that this festival has become something that is important to not only the beer lover, but also the beer producer.
Yeah.
So I was like, we've made it now. When
That's
that
awesome.
brewery gets that excited about winning, this festival's made it. That's cool.
Yeah. So you've talked about the number, like, you know, the number of breweries and the number of different beers. In your head, like, is there a cap that you don't want to go above? Like, as far as the number of entries?
Well, it depends on the space, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I think that's right. I think we're right where we want to be for the location.
Yeah.
Right. You know, when we outgrow the UIC basketball arena, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
To still make it,
But it changes-
intimate.
changes the
It
fest,
changes
yeah.
the dynamic of the fest, right? And so, I think we're at a place now where we have the right number of tickets to sell. The tickets are selling fast. You can get them at FOBAB.com. And we have the right number of.
I was going to say, this
We
is
have the
actually
right-
coming out at a time where people will still probably.
That's right. We have the
next
right
Monday.
number of breweries there, because you know you could spend the whole afternoon or evening trying all the barrel aged beers that you could possibly handle, and so I think we're in a good place.
I can drink a lot.
I don't know, man. When the first time that I went, we went to the pavilion.
Yeah.
It was at the pavilion. And I went in there like gung-ho. I'm like, I can't wait. This is going to be great. And like, of course I went for like, big stouts. Not even thinking about like, wild and
how am I going to feel in 2 hours?
Yeah.
Well, I was done. It was great. I mean, I was a young buck. I was wet behind the ear. I didn't know what I was doing.
Have you guys attended as press?
No.
Okay, so
this year
you're gonna. This is funny. So the behind the scenes thing that no one really knows about is that everyone is clamoring to try all these barrel-aged beers, these giant beers, and everything else, and all the people that actually make all those beers are upstairs drinking Pilsner.
Yeah, I believe it. I 100% believe that.
And cider.
Absolutely.
Isn't there like cases of like High Life or something that are like shipped in? Like,
I absolutely believe this.
Yeah.
Well, because of that, we have
secret.
an oasis for low ABV beers. We're calling it Lager Town.
Awesome.
And so, folks, if they want to take a break from the high gravity
That's a
beers,
really good idea.
and try beers from across the Chicagoland and Illinois area in Lager Town, and kind of take a break and have a lager to relax and check out some cool new breweries.
We learned
That's
that, I
actually a
think,
good
when we did Beer Under Glass, we were looking for a bathroom and didn't realize we would go to the Brewers Lounge. Like, the security guy was like, well, you have those media passes, so this is your room. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay.
But then everything was just like lined with like lagers and shit. We were
Beer
like,
Under
yeah, here
Glass.
we are. There we go.
Beer Under Glass is another one that we started that I was really proud of. I'm sorry to see that one go because I thought that was a really fun one. But that's a whole nother podcast we can do.
We can go back another time and do that.
we found a great new location.
Yeah, the
in
new Beer Under
Union
Glass
Station.
is, yeah.
Not to see it go necessarily, but to change location.
Yeah. We had a great time at Union Station this year. Had 1,400 people come through, and a couple hundred breweries, and so it was really cool to showcase beer from across the state in a place that's no more central. You can't get more central than Union Station, and so it was a cool event.
So maybe we were opening some box, but what happened with the Garfield Conservatory?
If we need to edit this out, we can.
So when I started the Oak Park Market Brew Review, I started the Beer Under Glass. Me with my team, with my board. We did it to be a part of other non-profits and help them raise money too. And as we grew as a guild, we started to realize
We
that
are a non-profit.
we also well, we wanted to help.
We need to help
we wanted to
ourselves.
help. We also benefited from it.
Sure.
But we wanted to also try and help other community non-profits because they didn't have the easy money-raising power that we did with 100 breweries.
Sure.
People are going to show up, right?
Yeah. People are going to drink beer.
Like, you can have an art fair, cool, enjoy the 25 people.
Yeah.
Sorry, art lovers, but like if you have a beer fest, you're going to get 1,000 people show up. So we purposely partnered in the beginning with a lot of places to help our not-for-profit and theirs. And it was like a give back kind of thing, and also it was cool location, use their space too, that kind of thing. And as we grew as a guild, it made more and more sense for us to reel in our events and have them just be our own events. So there's no like ill will in these in Oak Park or in the Garfield Park Conservatory and things like that, but it's maybe it's time for you to have your own event and we're going to have our own event. And when they took Beer Under Glass to Union Station, like, how freaking cool is that? Now you're in an iconic building, and it was awesome. Just for the guild.
Super easy to get
we're
to.
not trying to be like selfish, but it's our members, our beer, our event, and we need to start as we grow up as a guild and in this current climate with legislation issues and things that we're trying to fight. We need to start considering our own growth solely instead of helping other not-for-profits.
I think that's right. The one thing I would add is that they were undergoing substantial renovation to build out a children's garden, which is so important for that community. And I'm so happy that's happening. But it really would have limited the number of brewers that could have attended. It would have changed the whole dynamic of the fest. And so we decided to take it to a new place. And then we threw that festival. And then we all kind of looked at each other and said, wow, that was amazing. Like, let's do that again. And so we're already looking to do it again at Union Station next year First time ever saying that out loud on the
Hey,
podcast. So
hey, we did it.
there
We
you
got
go.
an exclusive here. We got an exclusive.
So we are excited to kick off Craft Beer Week with that festival again at Union Station.
But to speak to that, I mean, that's when I fell in love with doing it with Garfield Park Conservatory. Was when I saw, when we were doing the walkthroughs, school buses of kids coming in and being like, whoa, and you're like, yes, I want to be a part of this, you know.
Sure.
So there's still a love in we're all craft people. We're all obviously in business to make money, right? But at the end of the day, we all want to create something, and we also are all about community. You don't open up a craft brewery in a community without expecting to be a part of that community.
Right.
And so for us to be able to give back to these places was amazing. But yes, now being as much as we've grown in the last 5 to 8 years, we've doubled, right? 5 years we've doubled, I think, something like that. So it's nice to have new locations and especially iconic ones. And that, I mean,
I think that's right. And I'd say one more thing on the topic is that there's so many beer festivals now.
Yeah.
Right? There's just so many.
There's
one,
a lot.
There's one every weekend if you want to try, maybe two, right? And so what we try to do at the Guild is make them special with a place like FOBAB. We make them special like a place like at Union Station and the Grand Hall, where you don't have a chance to be there with thousands of other people and like see it and take it in. And so we really try to make things special and make them unique, and that's what differentiates us from just a lot of the for-profit festivals that get put up around the state.
Yeah, we did a whole recap episode on Beer Under Glass from this year, and it was a lot of fun. Like we had a blast.
And that was your first?
That was my first. That was my first. A lot of firsts this year for Tony. Back to third person.
Tony says he had fun.
Tony said he had a great time with his buddy Brandon because they took the train down and took the train back. But it really was. It was awesome. I hadn't been there in forever, so to go back in there for a beer festival, it was great. The way it was set up was great. Plus, as we've done this podcast, we've made more and more friends within the Illinois Craft Beer
don't
community.
consider today one of them.
Damn right.
It was
last
kind of
time
funny
I'm
though,
coming in here.
going to Union Station and just the look on people that were not expecting these hordes of beer people. It was like the mortified
What's
looks
happening?
on like the old lady standing there like,
I just
want to sit on the bench.
there's dudes getting off the train that like they're already double fisted on the metro, and it's like, let's go to a beer fest. I'm like, all right. And then we were the guys going back on the train, like, we were just at a beer fest.
Go ahead. Then I have a funny FOBAB story for you if you want it, and then I don't know what else you guys got, but this is,
We're going to have Ray. You've got a list of things I need you to shoot out. But we'll get to the story, and then we do the wrap.
I really do want to encourage everybody to go to FOBAB.com.
Which the link is will be in this episode here. Click on it. You can come find Brandon and I on Saturday.
And check out the two events that we're having. The first session is on Friday, November 4th from 6 to 10. The second one is November 5th from 1 to 5 p.m. Just putting a quick plug for the Imbibe membership through the Guild. So if you become an Imbibe member, it's $50 a year. It gets you in a lot of these VIP type things. It gets you in an hour early to FOBAB. Unfortunately, you're signing up for next year at this time because we've already done our Imbibe but what it also does, it gets you in early to Friday night flights events across the city of Chicago. It also gets you a copy of Illinois Brewing magazine sent to your house every quarter. And some other cool things. So sign up for Imbibe. You can find that on illinoisbeer.org. But again, FOBAB.com to purchase tickets or to see the brewer lineup, which we just posted a few days ago. We'll be releasing the beer lineup closer to the festival. Yeah, you're in at least twice.
Did I miss the deadline?
Oh boy.
Sorry, Katie.
But we have 12 style categories this year. The newest one, which I'm excited about, is the new barrel aged lager category, which is a first for us. And so there'll be, like I said, over 350 beers to try at the UIC Pavilion. Please take public transportation. The Blue Line's there.
It's too easy.
It's too easy. It's right near the Haymarket Brew Pub.
It's right near the Haymarket Brew Pub.
I mean, if you got time, I guess.
I mean, it's funny how close FOBAB always is to the Haymarket.
That's right.
FOBAB has always been centrally located around Haymarket, and I just never could figure out why.
Weird.
And Uber drop-offs and
have
pickups
no idea
right in front of the arena. It's a great time. I would suggest your folks check it out.
Absolutely. Please.
I was gonna say anything different, unique, special that is happening for the 20th year that you guys are.
Well,
planning,
I will say two things. I will say the lager category is brand new, and what we're finding here, especially in Chicago, is that, well, I guess it was Chicagoland, we were making astoundingly good lagers here.
Yes,
it's something that is really growing. It's becoming kind of the hallmark trait of what's happening here in the Chicago area.
I will probably get shit about bringing this up again, but when this year started, I said, you know what? I really don't like lagers. And I think it was because, like, I didn't... If you notice, I've had Pilsner since I've been here.
That just makes you a jerk.
We're going to edit.
Tony is a jerk.
He's got your
Tony
number.
likes Pilsner.
Not the first time you've called him a jerk.
And it won't be the last time. But I've discovered this year, and it's been a lot of Chicagoland breweries that have shown me that I really do like lagers, and a lot of it comes down to I like darker lagers, like Vienna lagers, things like that. But just up in we went to, I mean, this is Chicago, but when we were up in Michigan this weekend, we stopped at Seeds, and I tried their Helles lager, and I realized that Helles lager is probably like one of my favorite
Seeds.
styles.
11 miles from my front door.
And I couldn't even stop by.
Yep. By the way, this year FOBAB on Saturday at 2:30, I plan on streaking the floor.
Oh, sweet.
So I'll be there for that.
We'll be there.
It'll be my last probably
Cameras
ever
on.
ability to attend FOBAB, because I'm pretty sure that that'll be the end of that. But it'll be something for the ages.
Thank you, Pete, for making my life harder.
I was just going to say, Ray looks uncomfortable.
I will say,
He's like, I
just
really
like
don't know
kind
if
of
it's
circle back on the lager.
Please, yes.
Yeah, let's go back to lagers.
Let's go back to that. Sorry, yeah.
Dovetail on the north side is amazing, but also if you go a little further west into Downers, Goldfinger is making some astoundingly delicious lagers.
The two breweries you just named are two of my favorite Vienna lagers.
They are doing it right. Both those places. I mean, other places are doing it right, but they are the ones that come to mind when you say lager. And so, the new category, barrel aged lagers, I'm really looking forward to. I'm also really looking forward to, every year it just gets better. People get better at this.
Yeah.
And so I'm a sucker for a barrel aged stout with chocolate and like all that deliciousness that you want to drink.
It's in your name.
It's in my name. It's in my being. Yeah. And so, the chance to try all these before anybody else.
Yeah.
But number two, like, you might not get another chance. Like Pete said, he's brewing one barrel of this beer, right? And that's it. And so, it's gonna be cool.
It makes it definitely a bit more exciting. It makes it's already a special thing to go and do, especially for a beer fest. But just that alone, I mean, you're right. It might be the one time you'll have the opportunity to try it, or ever.
That's right.
So unless this is the secret, I don't think you said it. What barrels are you using for your?
I've got a bunch of different ones. I've got some Woodford barrels, Wolf Point, which is a Chicago area distillery. I'm using them.
Do you have something right now on tap that was Wolf Point?
I
saw?
have Wolf Point barrel aged stout
That's
on
right,
tap
sorry.
right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
And then I'll be entering a Wolf Point barrel aged Belgian quadruple with blackberries.
That's all Brandon right there.
My motto for the year
Don't
was
tell the
drink more Belgians.
judges. Don't tell the judges. That's mine.
I don't know if I can edit that part.
No, it's fine. So I got a quick story. It's not really that quick, but I'll try and edit it down. So I forget what year it was, but it was at Plumbers Union Hall. So we're run by all volunteers. Okay. So the competition coordinator, which is a volunteer, labeled all the draft boxes around the entire festival with what the beers were on a sheet on top, facing the taps. As they were getting judged, the judging coordinator would walk up, turn the sheet to read it, and then take the beers. So every single beer that got judged that year was switched.
Oh, man.
Because he's like, oh, barley wine from Goose and barley wine from Haymarket. And then they went like that, and then all of a sudden they wrote down on the thing, and then they turned it back, and no one got it. And when I finally realized it, I was like, did you just turn that? We're like, yeah, so I could read it. Like, yeah, but you just switched the beer.
You know, mirrors work.
So every beer got judged. Like the first half of judging got judged. It got switched.
Oh, no.
So we got through the judging, and then we had to go back and be like, okay, well, that beer is actually that beer, and that beer is actually that beer. And it was just a giant mess for like an hour and a half. So we didn't even have the awards figured out until almost the end of the festival, because we judged the morning of the festival at that point.
Yeah.
So it was a total disaster, but I was kind of like, I mean, at this point, I'm just laughing, like, well, this is a total disaster. So, but we figured it out, we think. So that year, we think those were the winners.
And that's why I really like Saturday, because Saturday, besides that mix-up many moons ago, Saturday is the day that you get to hear the awards. And my favorite part of FOBAB is the mad rush. After the awards are announced, everybody wants to try that beer, and it's extra special to me when some of these smaller breweries win. Like these Whiskey Hills win, or these other breweries that folks don't really frequent or haven't heard of, or smaller breweries, because it puts them on the map. It puts them on the Illinois beer map, where folks are going out and trying their stuff, and
it's a hard medal to win. I mean,
if you can make a good barrel-aged beer, you are doing something right.
Absolutely.
And it's a good indicator that all your other beers are also kick-ass. And so it's a real come-up for people.
We made a good barrel-aged beer.
Yeah, we did one time.
Hey!
Turned out okay.
In a previous life.
Tony made a good beer.
No, it's all Brandon. It's all Brandon at this point. My beers have been a little subpar these days.
We did a 15. What was I didn't some
15 gallon. Yeah, we had a 15-gallon
bourbon barrel.
Yeah, that we re-wet and everything.
And we had
turned out good.
Three different brew setups, all brewing the same recipe.
Yeah.
Which was kind of ironic because everybody got different gravity on their beers, and then you guys added TME to theirs, so theirs was like 10%.
Way to bring it up.
And then we threw it in there, and then we actually, in a previous life, the Great Lakes Brew Fest used to allow home brewers from Illinois to come in. So we entered as our brew club and brought our beer. And we were the only ones, we were soliciting people because they had an app where you can vote on the app, and we were just telling everyone,
vote for us?
We're giving them the beer, and we won out of all the beers in the entire place.
We beat the Sierra Nevada.
Yeah,
we beat Sam Adams.
I was like, either people aren't voting or we're just that good.
Yeah,
I think it was
sorry
people weren't voting, but it was.
That's
you
amazing.
might have started the craft beer revolution.
Tony started it.
But Tony is finished.
This is what we were talking about before, Tony, is that, I'm a home brewer too. I enjoy home brewing, but the fact that I'm around so much great craft beer all the time has really tamped down my need to home brew.
Right.
Just everywhere I go, people are like, try this awesome beer. I'm like, I could never do this like these guys are doing. I could try, but it's amazing to have access to so much here.
See, I'm very much I go into places and I'm like, I want to play with your stuff.
Absolutely.
What does it do? Obviously, because I've
No, don't give him the keys. Don't give him the shit.
See you later.
Super
I own Haymarket now. Get out, everybody.
Pizza's all around.
Coming into this
Pizzas
space
and barbecue.
As a home brewer, I won a competition to brew on the Haymarket system.
That's awesome.
And I did, and it was amazing. It was wonderful, and it was great. And it was so fucking cool.
Was that the dinner that was a little after the Cubs game?
That was something else.
And that's another story.
Yeah, this was Brew Pub Shootout, so I won, beer won. It was great, it was amazing, it was delicious, it was beautiful. We brewed it here, we aged it in bourbon barrels.
That's right.
It has had a super small release, both as non-barrel aged and as barrel aged.
Oh, fun. Even better.
It still hits as one of the higher rated beers from this location, which is called Janna Mestan, in case you're looking.
I like it.
But
Or your own tap users out there.
from a home brewer point of view, literally this is so much different and so not what I ever thought.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Was the thing, and like 100% not interchangeable at all.
We'll just upscale your recipe from Beersmith.
No, like not interchangeable at all.
Well, no, that's what we did. So for my wedding, we brewed. I basically tried to make like an Alpha King clone. So I had been brewing it on a homebrew setup, and everyone like really enjoyed it. Like,
it was good.
I had it for.
I was giving honest feedback, not like, oh, my friend has free
Literally,
beer.
like I had 5 gallons of it for our housewarming party, and it was gone within like 45 minutes because everyone drank it. So I was like, let's brew this for the wedding, and good friends with the folks over at Alman. And they're like, dude, just come on our pilot system, do it. And like they upscaled.
That was so much fun.
He threw it into Beersmith and upscaled it, and I was like, great.
He made it better.
No, it was a great beer, but I was like, it was a hot bomb.
It was
nothing against home brewers, but I always joke when they're like, I gotta open up a brewery because everyone loves my beer.
Everybody knows my
I'm
free
like,
beer.
you mean all your friends that get fucking free beer love your beer?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course they're gonna.
Wait till they got to pay $7 a pint for it and tell me how they like it. So,
Yeah, it's okay.
Except for the last quarter of the bottle where you're chewing it.
Like everyone loves free beer.
yeah.
Everyone
Your
loves
beer's the best. You should open a brewery. Cool. It's $7.50 a pint. Oh, never mind.
Just keep brewing in your garage.
That's like the story of like Steve from Double Clutch. He used to just. Everyone loved coming over to his garage because he turned his garage into a brewery, and people
It was free.
Yeah.
I mean, kept talking
don't
about
get me
how
wrong.
he's
The
like
guy
scaling up.
I
like,
mean, they took some medals at Great American Beer Festival.
Yes, they did.
There are,
The brew pub of the year.
100% there are those stories. There's Double Clutch, there's Metropolitan, who is also like
Same.
the home brewer that made good. Like, there are those stories, but there's so many other people that tried to do it and didn't understand like just the difference between I'm brewing at home and it's so much fun and it's so cool, and I need to brew for people and it has to be the same all the time, and it has to be available.
Yeah, it's a business and a product.
It's the
at that point.
consistency.
Yeah.
Massive.
When you get done brewing, you get to
massive
clean the
crevice between
toilets
those
and work in the kitchen and then tend bar.
It's not like because you're like halfway through the boil, it's
I'm not
like
trying to complain.
now we can open up that Imperial Stout we brought over to share because just clean it up. I'm gonna clean that tomorrow morning. We're fine.
You know what? I think a really good success story of a home brewer also is Little Beaver Brewery down in Bloomington. Chad, who's the owner there, entered the Sam Adams homebrew competition, ended up winning and opening that brewery all around that. He's participating in FOBAB. He always brings great barrel aged.
And that's a legitimately good reason to like have some credential to open a brewery.
That's absolutely right.
I mean, there's the flip side. Like what I despise is like people that have no brewing experience but think that the marketing can sell the beer, even though you just hire somebody.
Dude, it's a great label, bro.
I'm not
You
gonna.
should open a
Not
brewery.
gonna, I think I may have mentioned this
Look at
brewery on the
Yellow
podcast
Tail
before.
Wine.
I'm not going to say it again, but they are no longer with us. But it was like, they started out a marketing ploy.
Super
Tony
into it,
agrees.
must
Yeah,
Tony.
Well,
this up now.
gentlemen, I have to hit the road here.
Yeah,
soon.
we're gonna
It's
wrap
getting
this
a
up.
little bit late.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Apologize.
Thank you so much, all three of you, for joining us and talking with us and hosting us here.
Quick recap: where can people find Haymarket both here
okay.
and in Michigan?
Well, we're available in all of Chicagoland area, especially.
By the way,
like
I
Benny's.
have had Haymarket beers before.
Tony's a jerk.
There it is.
Benny's, Whole Foods, Mariano's, a lot of the bottle shops and beer bars. Julasco's taking us in. So we're getting out there and getting available pretty much wherever you might shop.
Once you get the jewels, you've made it.
And then in Michigan, we're the whole west side, and then all the way to Detroit in Michigan as well.
Nice. But physical locations as well.
Downtown, West Loop, right on Randolph and Halstead, right off of the Randolph exit on the highway. We're literally right off the exit.
Super easy to get to.
And if you happen to be waiting for your way too long wait at Oshaval or Girl in the Goat, we happen to be a great spot to have a beer
That
while
many
you're waiting.
times.
And then in Michigan, we're right over the border, exit 16, Bridgman.
It's right there.
No E, it's Bridgman. So super easy. It's only like 55 miles from here. It's actually not. It's about an hour and 20 minutes.
If you can't find parking over here, head out there.
Yeah, you can park there. And,
One of my
take a
favorite
shuttle.
beaches in Michigan.
It's
Yeah,
faster.
so we've got Warren Dunes over there, State Park. We've got Waco
Love
Beach.
Warren
We've
Dunes.
got We got. I mean, it's beautiful over there. We got a huge parking lot over there. We do wood fire pizzas, salads, sandwiches. Here we've got a full bar, and then a more diverse menu, and actually a new menu coming out here in the next few weeks, which is going to be pretty awesome. So,
Sweet.
And you could find out more about Illinois Craft Brewers Guild
Thank you.
at illinoisbeer.org. And you can find out more about FOBAB, including purchasing tickets for FOBAB for either the Friday or Saturday session at FOBAB.com.
Those links for all of this is in the description of this episode as well. So, like we said, we're going to be at FOBAB this year on Saturday. So
Looking forward
come
to
and
it.
find us as well. We'll be walking around probably with this recorder. In
I
our
will
hands.
meet you guys in the VIP lounge
No,
for a
thank
PBR.
No,
Nice.
No, thank you. This is the first and last time I ever want to see you. All right, Brandon, love you, buddy.
Love you too, man.
Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Great.
Bye.
This has been The Malting Hour. Be sure to follow us on all social media by searching The Malting Hour and at themaltinghour.com. You can also follow us individually on social media. Brandon can be found on Instagram as BMDub81, on Twitter, BDub81, and on Untapped as BDubDrinksBeer. Tony can be found on Instagram and Untapped under Ace of Help Chicago, on Twitter, The Ace of Help Chicago. Clark can be found as Clarkowski on all three. Dan can be found on Instagram as hip__hops and hip hops on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, like, and rate the show on your preferred podcast listening platform. Until next time, cheers from all of us at The Malting Hour.